In this problem, we have a situation where Mrs. Banerjee, who is a class teacher of 12th standard, has to pick teams for district, state, national, and international competition in mathematics with 3 players each, and she has a group of 15 students who have taken 100 tests so far, and the table given in the problem gives the average marks scored by each of the 15 students across the 100 tests and the number of times each of them has scored 100% marks. Mrs. Banerjee also knows that the probability of her school winning district level competition is more than that of other level, and that of state is more than national and international level, and that of international level is the least. And the table enumerating probability for winning the 4 competition of the school is given, and based on these information she has to pick team for the 4 different competition. Coming to the first question, in this question we have to find a suitable team for international competition. As we know that the probability of winning the international competition is quite low, so we should pick those 3 players whose ability to score 100% marks are maximum out of the given 15 students, irrespective of their ability to score good average. And after having a look at table, we can see student B, student 2, 8 and 14 are the top 3 students who have scored 10% marks so far in their tests. So these 3 players should be picked up for the international competition in order to maximize the chances of winning this competition. Therefore, option B is the correct answer. However, one thing can be noted here: no other information is given regarding to what kind of players we need to pick for given 4 competitions. But as probability is low for winning international competition, then to optimize the chances we need to pick those players who can do extremely well on an average compared to other students. So in this case we needed to pick those students whose ability to score 100% marks was highest. Now come to the next question. In this question it is asking which of the following members should constitute the team for the district level competition. As it is known to us, the probability of winning the district level competition is quite high. So we need to pick those players whose ability to score decent or whose average have been good so far, irrespective of their ability to score 100% marks. So the players who have scored good average or the maximum possible average so far are player numbers 1, 4, 11 and 13. All these players have managed average of 70 in the tests taken so far. As we don't have to select that student who ability to score 10% marks is highest, because we need that player for other level of competition. So the player who should be picked up for the district level competition should be 4, 11 and 13, which is given in option D. In the last question of this set, Mrs. Banerjee has to select the team for national competition after she has selected the team for international competition. A student selected for international competition cannot be part of national competition, which is the best team for the national competition. Basically, we have to pick those three players who can optimize the chances of winning this school the national level competition. The probability of which winning is quite low, it is 0.1%. Then again we need to go to the same logic that we used or discussed for answering question for international competition, as the players who have been selected for international competition cannot be selected for the national competition. So we have to look for those players whose average are highest after excluding those three players who have been selected for international competition. And after having a look at the table, we get these three players as player 4, sorry, 3, 6 and 1. These are the three players whose ability to score 10% marks after the strengths 2, 8 and 14 is the highest. So we need to select these three players to optimize the chances of winning the national level competition. Therefore option D is the correct answer.
Let's move on to question number 32, which is essentially a CR question. The main issues of interpretation arising from the work of professionally trained anthropologists are that they are late in colonial post-colonial trajectories because professional training shapes their interpretations. However, within fields of interest and training, their works are most systematic and thorough. What the passage really wants to say is that because anthropologists are professionally trained, the interpretations that they give to their work of study are colored or are late in post-colonial or colonial trajectories, which essentially means that the interpretations are not unbiased. However, there is a flip side to it which says that within the field of interest and training, their works are most thorough and systematic. And obviously, this is owing to the professional training that these people have. So, essentially, what the passage is trying to say is that there are two things, a good thing and a bad thing about being professionally trained. However, we cannot have both of them, or the bad one overcome and the good benefit as well at the same time. The best conclusion drawn from the above paragraph is analogous to which of the following? Option A, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, which states that speed and position cannot be determined simultaneously. Cultural relativism, which states that two or more than two cultures cannot be compared. Personal relativism, which states that one should not study anthropological phenomena for personal gains. Conclusive relativism, which states that anthropologists should not knowingly color their findings. Communicative relativism, which states that anthropologists should not be selective in communicating their findings. Now, the question asks which of the following is an analogous argument to the one given in the passage. Option A, which says that speed and position cannot be determined simultaneously, is analogous to the given argument because here also we are trying to have perfect interpretations and the fact that the interpretation should be thorough and systematic both at the same time, which according to the passage is not possible. So option A is analogous to the given argument. Option B, cultural relativism, which states that two or more than two cultures cannot be compared. No two things are being compared in the given paragraph and hence this option is ruled out. Personal relativism, which states that one should not study anthropological phenomena for personal gains. This is exactly not what is being talked about in the passage. We are not saying that the anthropologists study or do not study a particular subject for their personal gains. Conclusive relativism, which states that anthropologists should not knowingly color their findings. This is also unrelated to the given argument. We are not saying that the anthropologists are knowingly coloring their performance. In fact, it is owing to them being professionally trained that they end up having certain kinds of interpretations which are off what they could have had they not been professionally trained. Option E, communicative relativism says that anthropologists should not be selective in communicating their findings. Again, this is not related to the main point in the paragraph. They're not being selective in what they communicate in their findings. In fact, what they are not being able to bring out the true interpretation of the study. So option A, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle is the correct answer. Let's move to the next question, which is question number 33. Consider merit pay for teachers. Schools face constant pressure to change their management approaches to improve performance, which is usually assessed by standardized reading, math, and science scores. In most schools, a teacher's pay is determined by seniority, years of total teaching experience, and credentials. Pay is rarely based on performance, which is contrary to the belief among parents and private sectors. Parents and business leaders lament that there are no carrot sticks used to motivate teachers. Consequently, there has been a greater push to implement some form of merit pay to improve the motivation. What the passage is trying to say is that in the absence of an incentive or a kind of a stick, that is a kind of punishment for poor performance, teachers tend to underperform or not perform to the capacity. So, what parents and business leaders believe is that there should be some form of incentive for better performance, and teachers' pay should not be based on their seniority, years of total teaching experience, and credentials, but should be based on their performance. The question asks which of the following statements will disprove the claims of the parents and business leaders. Option A says a recent study suggested that teachers are self motivated. Well, if that's the case, then the claim of the parents and business leaders will surely fall apart because because they believe that teachers perform better when they are given a carrot or a stick, which is an incentive for better performance and punishment for poor performance. So option A is clearly the correct answer because it will disprove the claim of the parents and business leaders. Option B, teachers are largely motivated by financial incentives. This is in fact strengthening the given argument because even parents and business leaders believe the same. C, learning cannot be measured reliably and accurately by a test given once a year. This is unrelated to the given argument. We are not talking about how learning can be measured and how it cannot be measured. Option D, teaching is a solo activity. There is little interdependence with other co-curricular and extracurricular activities in the school. Even this argument is not related to the given passage. Option E, to err is human and hence sticks should be used to reduce errors. This part is in fact strengthening the given argument as was option B. So even this is ruled out. Only option A is the one that disproves the claim of parents and business leaders.
The whole argument given in this problem can be concluded in 2 to 3 lines. First one is when one starts taking 2 to 4 cup of coffees from the intake of 0, the risk of suicide decreases by half to what it was before. If one increases his or her consumption beyond 4 cup of coffee, there would hardly be any difference in the suicidal tendency. So there are only two things. First one is suicidal tendency goes down with the intake of 2 to 4 cup of coffee compared to no intake, and afterward there would not be any significant difference in suicidal tendency. So if we draw a graph between the intake of coffee and suicidal tendency, it would look like This shows intake of coffee and y-axis shows suicidal tendency. If suicidal tendency is at some point, then with the intake of 2 cup of coffee, it comes down by half of its original value. So graph would look like this. And if we increase the intake of coffee after this point, then there would hardly be any difference in suicidal tendency. So graph would look like this, which is of shape L, and therefore answer option E is the correct answer. Here a group of 9 runners are supposed to finish a 400-meter race in a certain order. The runners are Ashok, Benjamin, Chetan, Divya, Ishan, Fanish, Girish, Himani and Iravati. They all finish at different times and their finishing order is as follows. It is known that Fanish finishes before Ashok. So Fanish in race first, or compared to A. Divya finishes before Benjamin and Ishant. Divya finishes before Benjamin and Ishant. Iravati finishes before after Chetan. And Greece finishes after Ashok. From and here it is asked that which is the best position for Greece, or best position Greece can finish. From first and last information, it can be concluded that Greece can finish only after F and E, and other information has nothing to do with Greece. So the best possible position that Greece can finish with could be third, which is option C. Here it is known that Krishna Reddy wants to launch a product. The probability of his success is 50%, and in case of success, the total sales that would ensue or realize through the sales of product is 100%, and in case of failure, which is also 50%, the sales would be 20 crore. And it is known that the total investment that is required for launching the product is 50 crore. This is what the basic info talks about. Now coming to the question. In first question, it is asking how much profit can the company expect to earn if it launches the product. As we know that either launch would result in success or failure, the chances of success is 50%, which translates into probability of 0.5, and in that case total revenue that would realize is 0.5 into 100, or it would result in failure. In that case probability is again the same, but the sales in this case is 20 crore, and as these two events are mutually exclusive, so the total expected revenue if product is launched is zero point 0.5 into 100 plus 0.5 into 20, which is equal to 60 crores. and the total investment that is required to launch the product is 50 crore. So the profit that would result in case product is launched is 60 minus 50, that is 10 crores, and which is given in option B. Now further it is given that for the next questions, Reddy and Rao were in quandary whether the company should go ahead and market the drug. They contacted Raz, a common friend, for advice. Aduri was of the opinion that given the risky nature of the launch, it may be a better idea to test the market. Rao and Reddy realized test marketing would cost 10 crores. Aduri told them the previous test marketing results have been favorable 70% of times and success rate of products favorably tested was 80%. Further, when test marketing results were unfavorable, the product have been successful 30% of times. So here we have got three more things. In case they go for marketing, it would cost another 10 crore and it is known that previous marketing tests have been successful in 70% of times, and in case of favorable testing, probability of product being successful is 80%, and in case of unfavorable marketing result, the success rate of product is 30%. Now coming to next question, here it is asking how much profit can the company expect to make if the product is launched after favorable test marketing results. When marketing result is favorable, then chances of success of product is 80%, which translates in probability of zero point 0.8. So total sales that would realize in case of favorable test marketing result is this, and still there is chances of failure, and which is 20%, and in case of failure the revenue that would realize will be zero point 0.2 into 20%, that is into 20 crore, that is when product results in failure. So the total revenue that would realize in case of favorable test marketing is zero point 0.8 into 100 plus zero point 0.2 into 20, which is equal to 84 crore. The total investment now is 50 crore plus 10 crore of marketing expenditure, which is equal to 60 crore. So the profit that would ensue in case of favorable test marketing results is 84 minus 60, that is 24 crores. However, this is not given in any of the options, so that is one of the question that appeared in XAT 2014 that did not have correct answer. Moving to the next question, it is asking what is the probability of product failure if Reddy and Raw decided to test market it. We know that when marketing results is favorable, the probability of product being successful is zero point 0.8, which means the probability of product being unsuccessful despite favorable marketing is zero point 0.2. So the failure of product in case of successful or favorable marketing result is zero point 0.7 into 0.3, and the probability of product marketing result being unfavorable is zero point 0.3, and in case of product being successful when marketing result is unfavorable is zero point 0.7. That means product being product failure of product when marketing result being unsuccessful will be zero point 0.7. So the probability when the product results in failure after unfavorable marketing results is zero point 0.3 into zero point 0.7. As these two events are mutually exclusive events, so the required probability will be sum of these two probabilities. It will be 0.14 plus 0.21, that is 0.35. Therefore option B is correct. Now coming to the last question, here it is given that if Raw and Reddy decides to launch the product despite unfavorable test marketing, how much profit can the company expect to earn? Case of unfavorable test marketing, the chances of success is 30%, which means that of failure is 70%. And in case of product being successful, the total revenue that realizes is 100 crore, and in case of failure is 20 crore. So the total revenue that will realize in case of unfavorable test marketing will be zero point 0.3, that is 30% of 100 and 70% of 20, which is equal to 44, and the total cost that incurs in launching the product is 50 plus 10, that is 60 crore. So when product is launched despite unfavorable test marketing, the loss that would company incur will be 44 60 minus 44, which is 16, or in term of profit it will be minus 16. Therefore option D is correct answer.
Let's look at this DM set, questions 40 to 42. IBM, Intercontinental Business Manufacturing, is doing a roaring business. It has three products: Quickie Quick, Run of the Mill, and Maxi Max. Customers are buying all three products. However, Quickie Quick is doing especially well. Now, the product manager is confused, Ram. Ram is confused. Why is he confused? Because the raw material suppliers want to supply lower quality product at lower quality raw materials at cheaper price, and it is profitable for the company also to increase production. However, the quality department is not happy with the product. Now, Ram meets Rahim, the CEO, who as always wants higher profits. He said that the IBM will set up a committee for improving the quality. Now, the issue at hand is that the demand for Quickie Quick is increasing, the quality is low, and so what should Ram do? And the fact that they're trying to set up a committee for resolving the issue. Let's look at the first question. What must not be done by Ram? So we have to choose an option which Ram should not do at all. Option A, only produce Quickie Quick as it gives highest profits. Increase the production of Quickie Quick and ask the supplier for better quality raw material. Option C, maintain the level of production for Quickie Quick and ask the supplier for better quality raw material. Option D, reduce the production of Quickie Quick till committee submits its report. Option E, stop production of Quickie Quick till committee submits its report. If you look at options B, C, D and E, all of these talk about Quickie Quick either increasing, maintaining, reducing or stopping the production of Quickie Quick, which is still okay as you are looking at resolving the issue at hand. B and C ask the supplier for better quality raw material, which makes up for increasing and maintaining the level of production. D, reducing the production of quick also makes sense, because again you want the issue to be resolved before looking at producing degraded quality product. Option is stopping the production of quick. It seems a little extreme, but is still okay when you compare with option A, which says only produce quick as it gives highest profits. This is something that you would not do at all, because you're unnecessarily penalizing the two other products which are doing well, which are doing okay. Because the passage clearly says that some people bought two products and some bought only one. So run of the mill and maxi max are also doing okay, and stopping their production for a problem with a third product doesn't make any sense. So option A, only producing quick as it gives highest profits, is something that Ram must not do at all. Let's look at the next question now, which is related to the given set. Rahim set up a brand committee comprising of a few selected managers, headed by Robert. The committee proposed that IBM should continue to manufacture the three differently branded products. It also proposed to recruit a new brand manager for improving brand image of the products. It agreed with Rahim that the company should increase the price. Rocket Singh, head of sales, was confused because he realized that customers were miffed with the run-of-the-mill and Maximax. Now, the given caselet says that Rahim sets up a brand committee, and what is proposed in the committee is that they should increase the price and look at increasing the sales. Rocket Singh, who is the head of sales, faces a problem because he realized that customers are not happy with run of the mill and Maximax. What should Rocket Singh do? It's a very easy question, a very typically framed question, which has completely extreme options which you can easily eliminate. Launch one more product to increase sales. This is what option A says. It doesn't address the given problem, which is why customers are miffed with run of the mill and maxi max. You're not even looking at it, and launching one more product to increase sales, it will not help. Option B, stop production of Quickie Quick. Quickie Quick is not even involved in the given this part of the caselet, and hence this option doesn't make any sense here at all. Launch a campaign on social media to increase awareness about the company's products. This obviously is not related to the given argument, because what you're looking at is not that the customers are not aware of the products. They are miffed with the kind of products that are being offered to them. That is they either they do not like the quality, or there is some other issue with the product, and launching an awareness campaign will not make sense in that kind of a scenario. Option D, send an anonymous email to all the employees highlighting customer dissatisfaction. This is a completely unrelated and extreme step to take. An anonymous email is not required in the first place at all. And then employees, even if employees are made aware of the fact that customers are dissatisfied, there is no recourse to it, as in the employees will not know what the customers really want and why are they dissatisfied. This is resolved in option E, which says conduct a research study to find out the reason for customers dissatisfaction. This is exactly what Rocket Singh should do. He should know why customers are dissatisfied with him. Now look at the next question. Some of the managers in production department were discussing the problems faced in shipping products in time. They complained that they had to undertake responsibility of creating financial and marketing plans in addition to responsibility of production planning. At the same time, finance and marketing managers were to be involved in preparing production plans. It was expected that this will reduce customer complaints. It was rumored that these changes were initiated by the managers educated in the US. Now here is that the managers in the production department are facing a problem. In addition to doing their own task, which is shipping products in time, and the tasks involved in production, they are also to do financial and marketing plans, which is eating it up their time. At the same time, finance and marketing managers are also facing an issue because they are involved in preparing the production plans. And all this has been initiated by the managers who have been educated in the US. So, which of the following is the best possible course of action available to the affected managers? Who are the affected managers? The managers in the finance and the marketing departments, and the managers in the production department. So, option A, which says create a union to safeguard their rights. This is not. This is a completely extreme step. The problem is not so big as to create a union and there are no rights that are being threatened in the given situation. Option B says file a lawsuit against the company. The company is not really at fault that way. It's only an issue of better communication and grievance management. Option C, create a forum for discussion and resolution of issues. This looks okay. This makes sense, as if the managers in both the departments talk and discuss, they would be able to, they're likely to come up to a solution to the problem. Option D, register a complaint with the human rights body. Again, an unrelated argument, because there are no rights that are being threatened, and the human rights body will really not help here. Go for further education to the US. This doesn't make any sense. This is completely impractical. All the managers obviously cannot go to the US for further education. So, option C, create a forum for discussion and resolution of issues, is the correct answer, the obviously correct answer.
Let's look at the next case study, which is a little long but has 4 questions that follow. It consists of 3 reports. The first report is about who among Apple and Samsung is the top uh, ranked smartphone brand. The second case, the second report is a reader's response, wherein the reader gives his opinion about the numbers Samsung is trying to quote about the numbers Samsung is trying to quote. And report 3 has a contradictory survey from on-device research, which says that despite the fact that iPhone or Apple is the bestseller, it ranks fifth on the customer satisfaction parameter in US. So this is what the 3 reports largely state. We'll look at the questions and come back to the case study again. The first question is, if you analyze the 3 reports above, which of the following statements would be the best inference? Option A, newspapers publish completely wrong data. There is nothing in the 3 reports to suggest that the data is completely wrong, and this is a little extreme argument to make, which is not substantiated by the given case study. So option A can be ruled out. All 3 reports have been bought by the companies. Again, it's an extreme conclusion to draw from the reports, and nothing is there in the report to suggest that something of this sort is happening. Option C, newspapers may report selectively. This is talking of a possibility which is quite possible in the given scenario. Newspapers may obviously tend to report selectively, and this can be true in the given case. Apple is leading, but its dominance in Korean market is definitely under threat. The Korean market has not been mentioned anywhere in the passage if you read it closely, so this option also can be ruled out. Option E, customer's response in report 2 is neutral and objective. Well, this option is again not very uh, conclusive, because the customer's response is appears to be at least a little biased towards Apple and unfair towards, I mean, not really unfair, but questioning Samsung on a lot of grounds, while the customer doesn't question Apple as such. So we really cannot say that the customer's response was unbiased or objective and neutral. So option C, newspapers may report selectively, is the correct answer for this question. Moving on to the next question, it is question number 44. Assume report 1 and report 3 are both correct. Which of the following can be a reason for the seemingly divergent rankings of different companies and their products? So we want, this is like a further application question, where you're asked as to what can be the reasons for the seemingly divergent rankings. That is, if while report 1 says that Apple is reigning in the market as the leading seller of smartphones, it is far behind HTC and Samsung and other devices in terms of customer satisfaction. So what is the reason for these two divergent rankings? So option A says iPhone 4, another product from Apple, could have been the bestseller in the US. This is a little uh, extreme, as in iPhone 4 has not been mentioned anywhere in the first report. What the first report only says is Apple sales as a whole. So this cannot be concluded from the given passage. Option B, HTC One was the most preferred device in Japan. Again, this does not resolve the discrepancy in the two reports. This also cannot be the answer. Option C, on device included Google in the list because it is an important player in Android market. This option does not have any bearing on the divergent rankings of different companies and their products. So this also is ruled out. Option D, customer satisfaction never leads to higher customer loyalty. This is a little extreme and also contradictory to what we want to conclude. So if customer satisfaction never leads to higher customer loyalty, what we really want is lower customer loyalty. That the given arguments suggest. Option E says none of the above. So in the given scenario, option E, none of the above, seems the best answer for this question. Moving on to the next question, which is question number 45. It is the same question but with different options. If report 1 and report 3 are both correct, which of the following can be a reason for the seemingly divergent ranks reported for different companies and their products? Option A says on device has been paid by Motorola to publish. This is an assumption which does not have any substantiation in the given reports, so this can be ruled out. Customers in France in report 3 have voted Samsung as the favorite company. Even if this is true, this does not resolve the discrepancy, because if even if Samsung has been reported as a favorite company, it does not really tell me why it is still second to Apple in terms of sales. Option C, customers in Japan in report 3 have voted Samsung as the favorite company. For the same reason as in B, this also does not resolve my conflict between the divergent rankings for different companies. And option D, sales and satisfaction may not be perfectly related with each other. This is exactly what is being talked about in the two reports. Report 1 talks about sales and report 3 talks about customer satisfaction. And if this is true, that the sales and satisfaction may not be perfectly related with each other, uh, then the discrepancy in among the two reports, that is report 1 and report 3, is resolved. So option D is the correct answer for this question. Moving on to the next question, which is question number 46. Which of the following is more likely to be a correct conclusion about the respondent reader in report 2? So we have to conclude about the reader in report 2. Option A says the reader is an Apple user. Though it appears that the reader is pro Apple, we cannot conclusively say that he is an Apple user. Option B, if the reader is an Apple user, his usage rate is higher. Again, this cannot be concluded from the given data in report 2. The reader is a frequent user of HTC One. This has no bearing on the given argument. This cannot be concluded from the report. The reader does not like Android platform. Again, he is against Samsung, but there again Samsung not releasing the official numbers as to its sales figures, but the reader does not anywhere mention his dislike or like for Android. Option E, the reader wants more objective data to be released by the companies. This is clearly stated in the report. Let's move to the report. In report where he says that this line, without accurate self-reporting of actual sales to the end users, none of these market share charts are worth a damn. It is clear that the reader wants Samsung to report actual sales figures to the end users. So this clears the four questions of this case study. Let's move on to the next case study, which has three questions that follow. In question number 47 to 49. Ajay was thinking deeply about a problem that his organization, a business consulting company, faced. Globalization had affected his company like many other companies. Despite the downturn, the current revenues remained healthy. However, Ajay knew it was inevitable that the company could not do business the same way. The complexity of managing the business had increased with time. Consultants were under pressure to deliver good and innovative solutions. The organization had consultants from different age groups having a good mix of domain and industry expertise. It was a flat organization with three levels. The biggest challenge for Ajay was to have consultants with latest knowledge who would also earn revenues. Getting additional business was a challenge as all the consultants were busy and it was very difficult to hire new consultants. So, what is the problem in the given case study? That it's a good business that Ajay is running, but he knows that globalization will eventually, take over, and he will not be able to sustain the good business as he has been till now. So what he needs to do is to involve the employees and do something different so as the organization is able to sustain the changing environment. So now there are challenges to what all he can do. Consultants are always under pressure to deliver good and innovative solutions. The people are not as equipped, and they do not have the latest knowledge, and then getting additional business is also a challenge. And since all the consultants are relatively busy and it is difficult to hire new consultants, the very important point is that he knows that it is difficult to hire new people. Then, some of the consultants were adept at applying old solutions to new problems. So this is a good point that this is a strength that Ajay has. Ajay was not very sure if this would work for long. So he thinks that this approach of applying old solutions to new problems would not work for long. Some of the clients had complained about the performance of old and reputed consultants. Ajay was mulling over the following five solutions to tackle this problem. So what are the five solutions? Decrease time spent on client interaction and increase time spent for generating solutions. Second, increase support staff to help consultants remain updated. 3. Decrease the number of simultaneous projects handled by the consultants. Fourth, make it compulsory for consultants to work on inter-industry and inter-domain problems. 5 is recruit more consultants. Now the question asks which of the following would be the best sequence of decisions taken by Ajay. We have to start from the most immediate thing that he needs to do and the most distant thing that he can do. Looking at the five options, if I read them carefully, I would know option 5, which says, course of action 5, which says recruit more consultants, is quite difficult for Ajay to do because the passage clearly says it was very difficult to hire new consultants. So I know that this would be somewhere towards the end. So given the scenario, I would rule out options C and D because here 5 begins the sequence. This is not definitely not the first thing that I would do, that Ajay would do. Recruit more consultants. Option E, again it has 5 on the second place before 4, 3 and 2, which will make better sense than doing 5. Then we have the option D, which has 5 on the third place. So let's rule out C and E to begin with and look at the other options now. Then we have decreased time spent on client interaction and increased time spent with. This can be done, this is okay, but then again this may not be practical as a solution. Before that, what I would really do is make it compulsory for consultants to work on inter-industry and inter-domain problems, because what Ajay really wants is that his consultants should have more exposure. So say, and latest knowledge. So it helps if they work across a good mix of because they are from different age groups and have a good mix of domain. It would work that they work on various projects and inter industry and inter domain problems. So makes sense to have 4 on number 1, 4 on the first place. Option B seems a better choice over A, so we can rule out option A as well, which has 4 in the end. Between options B and D, we can look at the placement of 2, 1 and 3 now and see what will fit better. Decrease the number of simultaneous projects handled by consultants. This also solves one problem, that consultants do not have enough time to bring in new business. So this looks better placed at number 2 rather than being at number 3. So again, option B is the best course of action, where you have 4 3 2 1 5 as the best sequence. Moving on to the next question, which is question number 48. After Ajay implemented some of the steps mentioned above, consultants wanted to renegotiate their contract with the organization. It seems that the organization had never mentioned that consultants have to work across industries and domains. So some of the old consultants were reluctant to change their ways, while many of the younger consultants were willing to follow Ajay's advice. Which of the following decision can be taken by Ajay to handle the situation? So now that we suggested that consultants should work across inter-domain and should work on inter-industry and inter-domain problems, uh, Ajay is facing problems now because consultants are not, ready to take up this challenge, and they are reluctant to change their ways. So while the old consultants do not want this to happen, the young ones are willing to follow Ajay's advice. Which of the following decisions can be taken by Ajay to handle the situation? Option A says retrench old consultants and recruit young consultants. Option B says pressurize non-conformists by giving preferential treatment to the conformists. C. Negotiate with the old consultants and communicate that the new rules would apply to the new consultants only. D. Do nothing and wait for a right solution to emerge. As with time, resistance would die down. Option E. Discuss the issue in an open house and let solutions emerge democratically. Well, it is very clear that B, options A and B do not make any sense, as you are only, you know, as you're taking sides and not really solving the issue at hand. While A says retrench old consultants and recruit young consultants, you are being totally unfair to the old consultants, because without even looking at the problems that they're facing, you're just kicking them out. Option B, pressurize non-conformists by giving preferential. This is by giving preferential treatment to the conformists. This is again an unethical way of doing things. C. Negotiate with the old consultants and communicate that the new rules would apply to the new consultants only. This is unfair to the new ones and really doesn't solve the problem that Ajay is facing. D. Do nothing and wait for a right solution to emerge, as with time resistance would die down. This is also a very cowardly thing to do. Uh, this is something that would not necessarily ensure that my problem is solved, because in such a scenario, it's not that people would be willing to change their ways. It would only be that they'll be too tired to retaliate or revolt. Option E, discuss the issue in an open house and let solutions emerge democratically. This seems the best option in the current scenario. Discussions will ensure that Ajay gets to know what the problems the old consultants are facing, and when issues will emerge democratically, nobody would have a problem following the advice. Now look at the next question. Ajay was to retire in 5 years and he wanted to leave behind a legacy. Order the following activities from the most important to the least important that Ajay should undertake in the next 5 years. One is do nothing, obviously. I reading it, you would know that it would come a little towards the end. So you can rule out option A straight away, which has do nothing as the first option. Second, set a future direction for the organization in these changing times. Makes sense. So he should do that. But then you can see that this comes in three options at least. Two begins the sequence in three options: B, D, and E. So you know that the answer somewhere lies in these three options, because in option C as well. In option C, 2 is a little towards the end. 3 says benchmark performance with respect to the best consulting company in industry. This is also a good point to make. 4 is empower senior consultants, at the same time seek opinion of all others from handling future challenges. Again, a good thing to do. Fifth is infuse fresh thinking by hiring outsiders. Given the case study, I know that hiring people is not not really possible and feasible right now. So I know that this would be again towards the end. Out of B, D, and E, 5 comes before 3 and 1, and 4 and 3 in E. So it is very obvious that option B, 2, 3, 4, and 5 make the best sequence where 1 do nothing is eliminated. So that's where this set ends. Let's look at the next question, which is three question DM set. Uh, this is also a little long, but in comparison to the Apple set, this is a lot easier to read and has quite less data to assimilate, less of information to assimilate. Let's look at the first 3 4 paragraphs and understand what these say. The case study talks about this guy Rajinder, who is now 32 years old. He grew up in a small town of Bathinda, Punjab, and he, as a teenager, as a youngster, he worked with his uncle Balwant, who owned a general store, Singh's general store, and the both got along really well. Balwant was quite good with Rajinder, and he taught Rajinder a lot of things about retailing. He taught the ins and outs of retailing to Rajinder, and Rajinder got to know everything, including how to order merchandise, putting on a sale, customer relations, and keeping the books. And then the case study talks about how Balwant and Rajinder got along so well together. After this, the case study talks about Rajinder going for an MBA program in Delhi. He does well at the program and lands a job with a very big retail chain called Big Mart. Now, these people at Big Mart i- are into retail business, and Rajinder joins them as a management trainee. Then he is quite successful there and scales up the ladder pretty fast from a management trainee to assistant store manager to the supervising manager of 3 stores and to the present position, which is the real estate manager. His job is to identify new sites and uh, identify new sites with targeted locations and community relations. Now, one day Rajinder was eagerly looking forward to his next assignment. He receives a mail, and that's where he's quite shocked and depressed because his next location is Bathinda. Now, it was clear for Rajinder that though Big Mart would really help a lot of people there, as in farmers and the average consumer, it would also spell doom for a lot of local stores in the area. And his uncle Balwant being one of the affected retailers. He experiences sleepless nights out of tension and does not know what to do, and he's wondering who should he talk to, whether he should be talking to his wife or to his boss. Would he wonders whether Big Mart would understand, whether he would be able to talk to them without fear. He considers talking to his uncle Balwant, and it is this dilemma that the case study is all about. Let's look at the first question. The first question asks, who is the best person for Rajinder to talk to? Okay. Now there are 5 options, wherein 3 are the people who have been mentioned in the four of them are people who have been mentioned in the case study, and one of the options is let time take its own course. In such case studies, it's obvious, unless they talk about a really balanced kind of approach. Such options should be straight away negated because these do not solve the problem at all. Wife has not been really talked about in the passage a lot. We do not know what kind of nature does she have, whether she would be in a position to help Rajinder at all. Talking to boss would not be a very good idea because his opinion and advice is likely to be motivated and affected by his business point of view. Then comes Balwant. Out of the given options, Balwant seems to be the best option, to be the best person that Rajinder can talk to because he has been quite close to Balwant. He knows that Balwant would understand him, and since the problem is also related to him, it would make all the more sense to discuss it out with Balwant. So out of the given 5 options, Balwant is the best person that Rajinder can talk to. Now look at the next question, which is question number 51. After deliberation with many people and a lot of research, Rajendra came across a study published in a leading journal which stated that most local farmers benefited because Big Mart bought agricultural produce directly from the farmers. Which of the following actions would you prefer Rajendra to take after he got this fresh information? Option A says since farmers benefit from Big Mart's presence, Rajendra should be happy with Big Mart's presence in Bathinda. Rajendra should undertake a new study to find out influence of Big Mart on local farmers. Rajendra should see this as an opportunity to take concerns of local traders to the top management of Big Mart in India. It may help Big Mart to develop new solutions that can benefit Big Mart retailers, farmers, and consumers. Option D, quit job at Big Mart and start another big retail chain to compete with Big Mart. Option E, request his boss to transfer him to a new location which has a low percentage of mom and pop stores. This would reduce Rajendra's discomfort. Now, it is clear that Rajendra's dilemma is about his uncle's store being affected, Balwant's store being affected. So option A, since farmers benefit from Big Mart's presence, Rajendra should be happy with Big Mart's presence in Bathinda, doesn't really solve his dilemma. It only says that he should be happy and content with whatever is happening. But it doesn't address the core problem that Rajendra is facing. That what should he do about the fact that Big Mart might influence the local retailers in the area. Option B, Rajendra should undertake a new study to find out influence of Big Mart on local farmers. Unless it is clear that Rajendra does not believe the previous study that is being talked about in the passage, and that is being talked about here in the small caselet, it doesn't make sense for Rajendra to undertake a new study, so this option can be ruled out. Rajendra should see this as an opportunity to take concerns of local traders to the top management of Big Mart in India. This option does make sense now that he knows that the local farmers would be benefited. He should take up this opportunity and talk to the people at Big Mart and let them know how they can, develop and help the local traders, retailers, and farmers and consumers. Option C does make sense. Option D, quit job at Big Mart and start another big retail chain. This is very impractical and extreme. We do not know whether Rajinder has the resources or the intent to do this, so this can be ruled out. Option E, request his boss to transfer him to a new location which has a low percentage of mom and pop stores. This is not really addressing the problem, it is only running away from the problem, which is something that should not be done. Let's move on to the next question, which is the right ascending order in terms of proportion of population benefiting from Big Mart in and around Bathinda. This question can very easily be answered as it is directly mentioned in the passage as with respect to the number of people that with respect to the percentage that these people comprise in the small town of Bathinda. So the first paragraph of the case study says that there are 10% of small traders, 30% farmers besides others. So we know that this is the composition. So because consumers are far more in number than farmers or retailers, and we have to arrange the proportion of population in the ascending order, that is from the smallest to the largest. So retailers would obviously constitute the smallest, which is the 10% of population, then farmers, which is 30, and the rest all would be consumers. So option C, retailers, farmers, and consumers, is the correct order. So this sums up this 2014's DM section.